Hello, denizens of YouTube. Welcome to UrbanKonbu. My name is Will.
My name is Nick.
And I'm Richie.
We are a group of horror enthusiasts starting a channel to talk about the stuff that we enjoy.
Here we will talk about interesting Eastern true crimes, urban legends, and ghost stories that you have probably never heard of. Maybe.
We have 3 spine-chilling tales prepared for you today, just in time for Halloween. After each story, we will briefly discuss our own thoughts on it before moving on.
Without further ado, let's just jump into it. Po, 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 po. If you ever hear this sound, that means something sinister has developed a dangerous crush on you. It's the sound of the Hachishaku-sama, the 8 feet tall woman. Her appearance is always different from person to person, sometimes wearing a white sundress, other times a white kimono, but always wearing a straw hat and always 8 feet tall. It's a sinister spirit that claims the lives of those who sees it within a few days. The following story was posted online. I encountered the Hachishaku-sama while staying at my grandparents' home during spring break of my 3rd year of high school. This was a normal trip for me, and I've done this for many summers and winter breaks, but I stopped after this one. I was riding my bike out to their house, but once I got there, a sudden chill ran down my spine as if someone was watching me from afar. I stopped, looked around, and that was when I heard the sound. Po, 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 po. It was a sound only a person can make, so I looked to where the sound came from, only to see a strange straw hat peeking over the top of a 7-foot tall hedge. It moved when I turned to its direction, and through a gap in the hedge, a figure of a woman in a white dress quickly passed by before disappearing. I didn't think much of it at the time, and continued cycling down to my grandparents' place. Later, while having tea with my grandparents, I asked them about the extraordinarily tall woman. When I got to the strange sound, an expression of dread filled my grandparents' faces. "When did you see this? Do you know how tall the hedge was? Did it look at you?" my grandfather screamed. Being the calm gentleman that he usually was, I found his sudden flustered tone to be quite disturbing. After giving my reply, my grandfather quickly rushed to a phone in the hallway, shutting the doors behind him so that no sound could get through. My grandmother explained with a concerned look in her eyes. "It seems the Hachishaku-sama has become interested in you. It was supposed to be sealed in a shrine near the village by 4 statues of Jizo, the protective deity of children. But you shouldn't worry. Grandfather is making arrangements." Later that day, a family friend who's a Buddhist monk came by and handed me a paper charm. He told me to put it inside my clothes, against my body, and to never let it out until he told me it was safe to do so. The monk then headed upstairs with my grandfather while I waited with my grandmother. About an hour later, my grandfather and the monk came downstairs. I was told to follow them into the small bedroom on the 2nd floor of the house. The lone window of the bedroom had been covered in newspaper, with a charm similar to the one I was given plastered in the center. Piles of salt were poured in each corner of the room, and a small statue of the Buddha sat in the center. I was given some snacks and a small portable TV for entertainment, as well as a bucket for me to do my business in. "Do not leave this room tonight, not until 7 a.m. the next morning," my grandparents warned me in a dire tone, far from their regular relaxed voices. "We will not talk to you until then. Remember, do not open the door no matter what." With very serious expressions on their faces, they left me alone in the room, closing the door behind me. Getting bored of the late night reruns, I got ready for bed, but was suddenly spooked by a light tapping on the glass window. Heeding their warnings, I decided to ignore the noise, but it kept coming. I increased the volume of the TV to drown it out. After a few moments, I heard my grandfather call out from the other side of the door. "Are you alright? It's okay to come out if you're scared." I started for the door based on pure instinct, but stopped myself when I remembered the dark and graven faces of my grandparents just a few hours before. "Everything is okay now," the voice beckoned, but I hesitated and pulled away from the door. At that exact moment, I noticed the salt turning black and smoke leaving the piles. Though the voice resembled my grandfather's, deep down I knew it wasn't him. It was something more sinister and something I should never get near. Then it came. Po, 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 followed by more tapping. It slowly escalated. getting louder and louder and louder, to the point where it was like hands being slapped on the window, despite being on the second floor. Before I realized, I collapsed in front of the Buddha statue in terror and started praying, the TV still blaring in the background. It could only be described as an eternity, but eventually the sound stopped. I looked up, the TV was still on, and the time of the early morning news said 7:13 a.m. The salt in the corners were black as charcoal. I quickly opened the bedroom door to find my grandmother and the monk. They were worried sick. I was led downstairs and was told to get into a van with several familiar faces already inside. They made me sit in the middle. 3 people from my uncle's family sat behind me. My aunt and her eldest son sat to my sides. My grandmother then climbed into the passenger seats beside my grandfather. "You are the only one who can see the Hachishaku-sama. Don't look at her," the monk warned me as he climbed into the backseat of the 10-people van, before slamming the door to the car. We drove for roughly 10 minutes when the monk said in a commanding tone, "Things are about to get dangerous." He then started a Buddhist chant. Po, po, po. It's the sound. I clutched my charm as tight as I could as I heard the terrifying sound. But curiosity got the best of me, and I quickly peeked out the window. The flowing white dress was moving parallel to the car. At the same time, it felt like it wasn't moving at all. Entranced by the scene unfolding before my eyes, my head was suddenly pushed downwards by my uncle sitting in the back. The tension only got worse as the sound grew louder. I swallowed hard but could only feel dry saliva sliding down my throat. Despite no one else being able to see the Hachishaku-sama, everyone heard the tapping, and it seemed to reverberate from every window of the car. Then suddenly, everything stopped. We slowly pulled over and the monk said it was safe to open my eyes. It was over. My grandfather had called my relatives over to confuse Hachishaku-sama by surrounding me with many people of the same bloodline. I had to stay overnight so that he had time to organize it all. The charm I held had turned black. The monk gave me a new one just in case. Turns out that one of the seating statues of Hachishaku-sama got overturned during a recent windstorm, and unfortunately, it was the one guarding the direction of my grandparents' home. I was told not to visit my grandparents anymore after that, to the point where I wasn't even allowed to attend my grandfather's funeral 2 years later. The haunting sounds of po, po still lingers in the back of my head to this very day. You know, I don't think I'll mind having a pretty girl in a white dress chasing me around.
Dude, she's 8 feet tall.
I mean, the problem isn't the fact she's really tall. I think the fact is she's pretty much dead and haunting you.
You don't know if she's dead. She was sealed away. She could be, she could be alive, just really old,
Do you understand how long ago Jesus was an actual religion? That chick's probably been there for about thousands of years.
Nah, I'm not Japanese. I don't know.
Ghost, though. Megan, did you not see the salt? It turned black.
Okay,
she's definitely a ghost.
First of all, the salt has nothing to do with anything. Okay, but think about it this way: you can essentially do your business with this ghost chick, and then she'll just disappear afterwards, and you have no strings attached. Okay, you'll never have to see her again.
Yeah, no strings attached to this world, because you're dead.
Look, man, all I'm saying is she could be the perfect girlfriend. Okay, that's all I'm saying. That's no strings attached. You don't have to worry about cooking for her. You don't have to worry about providing for her. You just...
Okay, but providing for her, though, she's 8 feet tall. You're about, 6 feet. I think you're going to have some scaling problems with her. Something you have isn't going to be very satisfying.
My head would be in the perfect position then, if you know what I mean.
God damn it.
Why did this get sexual so fast?
Anyways, without further ado, here's our next story.
Halloween may be all about fun and games, but I would not recommend playing this one, unless you are truly brave or insane, because the results of this game are otherworldly. The rules of this game are not exactly simple. They are strict, and one mistake could cost you. First, you enter a building with 10 or more stories, and get on the elevator at the first floor, alone. Do not proceed if someone else is with you, as you don't want to get a bystander who does not know the rules involved. You start the game by pressing the button for the 4th floor. When it reaches the 4th floor, do not get out. Instead, press the button for the 2nd floor and remain on the elevator. You do the same with the rest of these floors in the exact order, all while remaining in the elevator, only pressing the buttons when you reach the next floor. After you finally reach the 2nd floor, you press the 6th floor, then 2nd floor again, 10th floor, and then 5th floor. When you reach the 5th floor, a young woman may enter the elevator. Do not look at her. Speak with her, as she is not what she seems. Press the button for the 1st floor. If the elevator starts ascending to the 10th floor instead of going back to the 1st, you may continue the game. If it goes back to the 1st, leave the elevator as soon as it opens. Don't look back, and don't speak. If you reach the 10th floor, you may choose to get off or to stay in the elevator. If you choose to leave, the woman will ask you, "Where are you going?" Do not answer her, and do not look at her. You will know whether you have arrived to this other world by one indication. The only person present in it is you. Once you reach the other world, everything will be almost identical to the real world, except the lights will be off, and the only thing you see in the windows is a red cross in the distance. Some say the electronics don't work in this world as well. But beware, returning from this world is difficult. Disorientation will hit you soon as you leave the elevator, and remembering how to get back will truly become a challenging task. If at any point playing this game you pass out or lose consciousness, you will end up in your own home. But just be wary, as this home might not be the same home you are used to living in. If you chose to stay on the elevator on the 10th floor instead of leaving, just keep pressing the button for the 1st floor until it finally works. When it does, once you reach the 1st floor, leave. Do not look back and do not speak. If you choose to exit the elevator at the 10th floor, remember this. You must use this exact elevator to return. Any other won't get you home. In order to return to our world, you must follow the same steps, the same way you did before. Go to these floors in this order: 4th floor, 2nd floor, 6th floor, 2nd floor, 10th floor, then 5th floor. When you reach the 5th floor, press the button for the 1st floor. The elevator will then begin to go back up to the 10th floor, but before it can reach the 10th floor, press any other floor button to cancel this. You must do it before you reach the 10th floor. Once you return to the 1st floor, check your surroundings carefully. If anything is off, even if it is a tiny thing, do not exit the elevator. If you feel something is wrong, repeat pressing the buttons the same way you did before. Once you feel confident you have returned to your world, you may exit safely. But what about the woman that appears on the 5th floor, you may be asking yourself. Same advice I will give to you before. Do not speak to her, do not look at her. If you do, she may decide to keep you for herself.
So would you guys play this game?
Hell no.
Why not?
Because first off, you have to find a building with enough buttons. There's not many with 10 floors around here. And you get sent to another world.
Yeah, but there's a certain mystique about getting to another world, isn't there?
Like what?
Like you can just be alone, all by yourself.
Like when you're sick of this world?
Yeah, pretty much.
Sick of paying rent or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, but think about it. You know what? It's a good thing, because if you go into a skyscraper with a businessman or something, you can just go and drag them all down with you to this other world.
But you have to do it alone, right? You can't just be like, hold up, I'm doing this game, I'm trying to get this lady.
That ruins the point of it, because you're trying to drag these people to the other world with you because you're sick of the world, so you're just trying to bring people down,
Are you truly that vindictive?
You know what? You don't even have to go through the whole thing. You just get to the 5th floor and just have everybody look at a woman except you, and then she'll take care of everything else.
Yeah, but the thing is, anyone who goes into an elevator will press a floor, and that will ruin the entire plan.
Okay, how about you bring your friends, okay? You tell them it's an isekai anime trick. You're trying to bring everyone to the other anime world, and you tell them not to press anything, just to go through with it.
Are your friends truly that stupid?
Yeah. Like,
maybe,
I know you.
Maybe your friends just want to watch you go through the phases of just, isekai addiction.
Anyways, I think that's where we're gonna end it today.
Okay, that brings us to the end of the show. We are still testing out new ideas, so if you have any suggestions or just want to share your thoughts on the stories, please comment down below and let us know. If you liked our video, please click the like button, subscribe, and share with your friends. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, where we'll update on any new changes and upload schedules. Next episode, we'll talk about an interesting true crime story from China. Look forward to it. Thanks for tuning in. Let us know which story was your favorite, and we'll see you next time.